in the last session we have studied about how the exchange of gases and the respiration takes place in animals. Okay, so we come to know that the process where the exchange of gases takes place, like oxygen and carbon dioxide in plants, through diffusion. It was through diffusion. Okay, now we also discussed about the exchange of gases in animals, aquatic animals. Okay, so breathing rate of aquatic animals is bit higher because the lack of oxygen in the water, because water in the oxygen dissolved in water is very less. Now we'll see in a human body, as you can see in a diagram, human being, how exchange of gas takes place. Okay, so respiration takes place in a human body. So first we will talk about parts of the respiratory system in a human body. This is called a nasal passage. This is the nasal passage where we have a mouth cavity. Nasal passage entered into the trachea. Okay, nasal passage, nostrils, we call it as the two nostrils where we have a hairs. Okay, what these hairs do? These hairs have a secrete a mucus. So this mucus, what the mucus has to help us over here? So guys, first we will understand the parts, what is the role of it, where the nasal passage, nostrils mouth, what happened here, air goes in. Okay, this is pharynx, mouth cavity, pharynx, larynx is called a voice box. Pharynx is a part like it's like a C kind of cartilage is over there which supports the trachea is supported over a ring cartilage, that is C kind of that. So what happened, it's also known as a windpipe. This is also considered as a windpipe. Okay, so now air goes over here. Now you can see the trachea is divided into two main parts. Okay, now these two main parts are called bronchi. These two main parts are called bronchi. They are the branches like trees. Okay, main trunk and then trees like this. This is the trunk of it, that's called trachea or a windpipe. Guys, that enters into the two parts that's called bronchi. Now bronchi has many wings like this. You can see here. This is called bronchioles. This is called, they are called bronchioles. Okay, now this is what this is a bronchiole, respiratory bronchioles. You can see this is a cycle, one kind of a what we can say expanded form of it, so that we can have it. And this is the lung. We have a pair of a lungs, so lungs are like this. Okay, and lungs are inside the chest cavity where we call it as a ribs. Okay, and this is chest cavity and this is abdomen cavity. Now abdomen cavity and chest cavity is divided by one membrane that is called diaphragm. Now let us understand how the respiration takes place in human being. Okay, so as it enters, the air enters here, air enters from a nasal passage. Now this nasal passage contains, okay, this nasal passage air, the air passes through the nostril is filtered through the fine hair. Now they contains hair, as you know nostrils has hairs. Okay, now these hairs used to filter dust particles which comes along with air. Okay, so this is the role of it. And this passage where the nasal passage is there, in the nasal passage it contains mucus. With the help of this process, okay, so what happened that from here this goes to the throat that we have a pharynx, and the pharynx throat into the lungs, and then it goes to the lungs. So the rings of cartilage are present in the throat. And this, why is this over here, that is called a trachea. Okay, the windpipe we call the trachea over here. Okay, so the lungs are divided into this one. So now the trachea, where this is having this kind of cartilages. Why? Because air passage does not collapse. So air passage does not collapse, so they have ring cartilages. This ring cartilages helps this trachea support to the trachea, so it does not collapse. Now that what exactly happened, this is small things present over here, guys. It makes a very huge thing, so please make a note of this, all the stuff over here. Now within the lungs, what happened, as I said, this is divided into two parts, that is called bronchia. Now here this is bronchi. Okay, it is that what we have, this called a bronchi. This is main branch, that is called a bronchi. and now this bronchi is divided into respiratory bronchioles. Now these bronchioles are connected over here, which is known as alveoli. Alveoli मतलब क्या? They are like alveolar sacs, यानी कि एक छोटे छोटे like airbags are there. They are like airbags where exactly this is the place where exchange of gases takes place. Exchange of gases takes place. I said exchange of gases. Now let us understand how the exchange of gases takes place over here. This alveoli are air-like bags where it is surrounded by blood vessels. Millions of alveoli are present over there. Okay, and these blood vessels are there. So what happened? The blood vessels, they take oxygen from here. Blood vessels ma, so why we have a blood, and this is a part of transportation which we are going to study further ahead. Okay, so what happened? In a blood they have RBCs. Now RBC contain hemoglobin, and hemoglobin has great attraction towards oxygen. Okay, they have a great affinity, so they will take oxygen and then send it to the cell, and cell, after doing the cell process, get back this to the lungs. Okay, blood comes to back to the lungs where the carbon dioxide is taken out. It means that when we take out the air, so what happened? The carbon dioxide also comes out over there. When you take in air, oxygen is coming out, and this process is continuously going on in our body. This is like a balloon like a structure, and the alveoli provides a surface area. It provides a very nice surface area where exchange of gases takes place, and extensive blood vessels. Whatever I said, that it is correct over here. Now, as we have seen in the earlier years, when we breathe in, what exactly happened? When you breathe in, just try to take it. When you breathe in, your stomach goes in, and when you exhale, what happens? The stomach comes out. So what happened? The chest cavity becomes larger. The chest cavity becomes larger when you breathe in. Now, but when you breathe out, the chest cavity becomes cool. What exactly happened? So you can see there is a diaphragm. There is a diaphragm. So what happened? Because of this, the air is sucked into the lungs. This is what the process where when you take in it goes to the lungs, air goes in the lungs, so the chest cavity get higher up. A balloon ne jam fuli jai, and then it's up, and when it goes contract, okay, the diaphragm gets down, and this is what exactly happen over here, and this helps in expanding the alveoli. So alveoli get expanded, and when expansion takes place, the blood brings carbon dioxide from the rest of the body, release into alveoli, and the exchange in the alveolar part here, alveolar sac, whatever that you called, okay, taken up by the blood in the alveolar blood vessels, and to be transported to all cells of the body. So during the breathing cycle, when air is taken in and let out, the lungs always contain a residual volume. Okay, now it is not compulsory ke badhuj khali thai jai. Okay, they contain certain part of air in there, so that there is a sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and carbon dioxide to be released. So guys, this is how a respiration takes place in our body. Okay, when a body size of animal is very large, okay, it's like that our body is like very large, so the diffusion of pressure alone cannot take care of oxygen delivery to all the parts. So along with this, respiratory pigments takes up oxygen from air in the lungs and carried it to the tissues which are deficient in oxygen before releasing it. In human beings, the respiratory pigments is, yes, I said this is one, hemoglobin. Hemoglobin, dear students, it's a respiratory pigment. Now this pigment has a role to play, a vital role to play over here, and that's what this pigment is present in RBC, which I already talked about, and carbon dioxide is more soluble in water than oxygen is, and hence most transported the dissolved form in our blood, and that's why the transportation is carried out by this. So here, dear students, it ends a very useful life process that is called respiration. So please, if any query, you can ask me, and you can go through this one more time, read your textbook, make your notes, and be prepared for your exams. Okay,